Clarice is placed on leave after the events of Woodhaven and has dinner with the Martins. She is confronted with things she forgot. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Clarice episode 6. So this episode starts out with a regressive hypnosis session. In it, we get to see Clarice is trying to remember the man that hit her in the head as she was trying to escape Woodhaven. But instead, we end up seeing moth-eaten flashes of Bill getting mixed in with Woodhaven events. So this is kind of a little trippy, and I thought it was actually pretty cool opening. We really see that she's trying to remember this guy because she wants to, find out who it was to arrest him, so that way they can find out what happened to the 3 women that were killed in episode 1. But Krenler places Clarice on an admin leave for 2 weeks. And Clarice is not having any of that. She is not happy about it. So she goes to see Ruth Martin to get that decision reversed, so to get it overturned, because she doesn't want to have to deal with that trauma, that's the impression I get from her. She doesn't want to deal with any of this trauma. She just wants to continue to go to work, do what she does best. She don't want to deal with anything, and that's very bad. I mean, you have to deal with it at some point, and it's going to come crashing down. But Ruth, I loved it. Ruth tells her she will be going to dinner at 7 p.m. with her and Catherine, because Catherine's been calling her, trying to talk to her for like a year or more. So we can see that Clarice is not liking that, but if it means that she's going to go back to work, yeah, she goes. She jumps at the chance. She's like, yep, okay, cool, I'll go. And it's terrible. The dinner sequence is really uncomfortable for Clarice. You can absolutely tell it's super uncomfortable for her. The oppressive atmosphere and the music that they chose for this sequence was great. It really was. It was pretty much fantastic. The whole sequence, everything is awkward. Really awkward for Clarice. And for even kind of viewing it, because you're like, oh, like, why did you even go? Is it really worth it, Because she wants to get back to work. She doesn't want to go to therapy, so she really doesn't want to deal with anything. But she's willing to go this far to get back to work. And, Clarice even sighs as they're drinking brandy and looks so uncomfortable. At the whole prospect of being there. She won't even really look at Catherine. And Catherine is, oh man, she's a case, and it really sucks. Especially for victims of that kind of circumstance, she's really just a shell, and she's trying to be super nice to Clarice. In this scene here, she gives her a box with like a scarf in it that she knitted, and Clarice is like, wow, this took you a while. And she's like, yeah, I used to like sewing until, Bill happened. And the whole thing was just super awkward. And every time Precious barked, Clarice was like, she just super nervous, very uncomfortable. And she even at one point tries to defend Catherine and what she went through. And she says something that Catherine looks at her and is like, what? That didn't happen. And Clarice ends up, getting confronted with that. And it's, she's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? That's not what, that's not how it happened. I remember. And Catherine is like, no, everybody thinks they know better than me. And dude, it was great. The camera even gets every facial expression of Clarice's. They capture it like, I mean, that the whole thing is just centered around her the whole time. It's crazy. And Ardella looks into the DNA sample taken from Clarice when she was at the hospital in the beginning as well, and finds out that somebody tampered with it because Clarice scratched the guy who hit her. So they realize somebody's been tampering with all the evidence, even outside of the Bureau. So we really get a sense that things are starting to culminate, and this conspiracy theory of Clarice's is actually panning out, and at some point everything's going to collide with each other. That's the impression I'm getting from this. So they're playing a kind of a long game in these episodes, which I kind of like. I hope they're setting up something really good, and I hope it pays off. The effects in this were great. The hypnosis sessions were great. I mean, honestly, the flashes of Woodlong and Bill getting mixed together were really kind of trippy. I liked it. And Clarice really isn't remembering things clearly because she still has to deal with the trauma from Buffalo Bill case, and everything like that. There were 2 survivors, Clarice and Catherine, and they're not talking to each other, and Clarice doesn't even want to, acknowledge she even exists, really, because it brings things up for her, and I just thought the effects for this were great. The eerie music that they used for the dinner sequence was fantastic. It really highlighted the uncomfortable atmosphere in moments. Like this was a very oppressive atmosphere. And Catherine even calls her mother out for doing certain things. And it's crazy. The acting in this was really fantastic as well. The dinner sequence was probably the best part of this whole episode. It really, really highlights the things that are going on with Clarice. Rebecca Breeds was great at looking so uncomfortable in this episode. The whole dinner sequence, she was super uncomfortable. Every facial expression, all of that was captured perfectly, and she did a fantastic job with this. The hypnosis sessions were great as well. I mean, honestly, they were great. This episode, again, really shows how Clarice doesn't really want to process what has happened to her during the Buffalo Bill case and now the events at Woodlawn, like her near-death experience there. She doesn't want to deal with any of that. She just wants to get right back to work, and that's dangerous, for everybody, not just her, because she needs to really start processing this stuff, and she's willing to go to dinner and talk to Catherine to avoid having to deal with any of the trauma. I mean, that's a trauma in and of itself, Like, I really feel like both Catherine and Clarice never really came back from Buffalo Bill's place, They're both kind of crazy. I hate to say it like that, but they are both kind of crazy, and they really need help. And it really shows in this episode. Honestly, I would give this episode at least 8.5 out of 10 easily. This was a really good episode. This was a fantastic episode. Please leave a like and a comment down below and let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe, as I'll be doing more content each week. Take care for now, everybody.